Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Jesse from the Grolix Podcast of GrolixPodcast.com, and I'm going to do another really quick, low-maintenance Superior Book Club entry, and this time it is about the recent, fairly recent event, Marvel's Secret Wars. And now this isn't the one from way back when. This is the one that's more recent that kind of rebooted and consolidated the Marvel Universe, which was, that was a thing that probably needed to be done. They tried the whole Ultimate Spider-Man, whole Ultimate Universe experiment to try and update the Marvel Universe and get the new crew involved, and that was a great idea at the time, but then they didn't think about the fact that, hey, this thing has been around for over a decade, and now it's like, okay, now those old issues are old again. Like, you just have to keep going forward, which has always been their company mantra, but for whatever reason, they decided that they needed two imprints. But anyways, this pulled it all back together. Okay, so I have difficult emotions to reconcile on this. I have three big pros and three big cons on my list here today that I'm just going to talk about real briefly because I'm more interested in the conversation that's already happening on Twitter, which if you guys aren't involved in the hashtag Superior Squad, check it out. The Superior Book Club is happening, and there's some fun conversation happening about books that we've already talked about and books that we're talking about right now, the Secret Wars. Okay, so my first three are the pros. We'll start with the good stuff, right? Okay. So for me, Doom. Doom is awesome, man. I've been a huge Doom fan, and that's the reason that I hate all these Fantastic Four movies, man. Is not because the Fantastic Four is done poorly. It's because they screw up the villain. And if you screw up the villain, nobody cares about the heroes. There it is. Well, in this, it's good. It's legit Doom. It's the real deal Doom. And he wins. He wins at everything all day long. He's God in this book. And I love it. I love it for so many reasons. I love it for the aftermath. I love it for, now we have Dr. Doom he's had a taste now. He has won. He's had everything he's ever wanted. And I think what's interesting about Doom going forward is, and they're exploring this in the infamous Iron Man, where does he go now? Like he's had it all. And did it fulfill him? Tune in, find out, right? Okay, so I love that. I love reading anything Doom, and if Doom gets to be kind of the hero, then there you go. Second thing that I really like about this series is that it's a sandbox, okay? It was like any crazy idea that Marvel wanted to try, they did. You want a story where Peter Parker and Mary Jane never did that whole one more day thing where they erased their relationship. Boom, we've got a book where they're still married. Okay, so that was awesome. I read Master of Kung Fu with Shang-Chi, and they tied in like the X-Men stuff. It was like everything I ever wanted about, like I always liked Shang-Chi, but it's like, okay, I would love a little more of the superhero element in that. And so like this version gave me that. It gave me Kung Fu X-Men. How do you not want that? Okay. And then they had the Battle World books, and they just had all these crazy, wacky ideas, and they could just do whatever they wanted, and they did. Number three, I already talked about it. It consolidated everything back together, and they did it without rebooting everything like they did with the New 52, where they go back and they rewrite the history of Tim Drake and make him so that he's just like an associate of Batman, and he was never really Robin. I'm still mad at you, DC. So yeah, those are my three pros, even though I went real negative there at the end. Now the cons, and there's more than I can list, but I stuck with three. Okay, first of all, I didn't reread this one because I just read it not that long ago. What a year ago, two years ago tops. I still remember it really pretty well. But I was reading it as it was coming out, and the production schedule was awful. It was horrible. And then they claimed it was only going to be like 7 or 8 books or 6 books or something. It wound up being like 9 or 10. I don't remember. But the thing was over before it was ever really over. Like it was like 3 months after the fact in the regular Marvel universe, and they still hadn't wrapped up Secret Wars. It was horrible. And that totally impacts your enjoyment of it. So you guys who read like a read it after the fact, or read it after it's all completed, or read a collected edition, I'm super interested to see how you feel about it, because it soured my opinion. It absolutely did. Second thing, it was also a pro. The sandbox was too full, okay? There's no way that we were going to read everything that they came up with. Like, they did stuff that I didn't even care about. Like, what if there was a world where the Civil War never ended and we just kept fighting forever? And another world was like, they were still fighting over the Infinity Gauntlet. There was like all these things that some of them sounded really awesome and some of them I didn't care about, So, yeah. And the problem with that is that if you didn't read all those tie-ins, I felt like you were missing something from the original book, Like, the core story is pretty good, but you just know that you're not getting everything. So I wish there was, like, I don't know, if not, and maybe there is, I don't know, because the sandbox was so full. But I feel like there needed to be, like, the core story, and then, like, corollary, like a secondary core story where we find out more about what Doctor Strange has been up to this whole time. Another core story that I don't know, tied in all the Brian Braddock's stuff, and like, you got snippets of what this political intrigue was, but I didn't understand the whole of it, and maybe that was all off in another tie-in book, but I honestly have no idea like what all the tie-ins even were. Too full, too much. Awesome, but too much. And then the last thing is that, really, I mean, think about this, guys and gals. This storyline had zero impact on the Marvel Universe other than it was a political thing. Like, it was intra-corporate politics had the biggest impact on what was happening in the aftermath of this book. So the big thing that they wanted to do was they wanted to cancel a bunch of books and reconsolidate their Marvel U. So that was the big number one bullet item for them to accomplish in this storyline. The number two thing was that they didn't want Fantastic Four anymore. This was a clever way for them to go ahead and say, okay, we don't need the Fantastic Four book anymore. And I won't give you spoilers for the end in case you're still interested in reading this. Yeah, anyways, there's no Fantastic Four after the fact. And they had already told us that before they even went in. And we all knew it was going to happen. Because Fox owns the movie rights to Fantastic Four. And there are bigwigs over at Marvel that have never been okay with that. And they were just looking for a reason to get rid of that book. Same thing with X-Men. X-Men, after the fact, they used this Secret War soft reboot thing as an opportunity to basically marginalize the X-Men's role in the Marvel Universe. They even kill off a core character off screen. They kill off my favorite character off screen. And so the X-Men are just like wiped out without a lot of rhyme and reason. So it just felt too political. Like, they were like, how can we kill two birds with one stone? Get a bunch of money for our summer event and yet, trim the hedges, so to speak. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up. I mean, this is such a weird and convoluted storyline that I could go on forever and ever and ever. And I don't want to do that. And I don't want to edit this thing down too bad. So that's all I got for you guys. Check us out at thegrawlixpodcast.com. No the on that. It's just grawlixpodcast.com. And we're going to be recording pretty soon. So you guys send us any ideas that you have, or if you just want to chat and say hi, or if you want to say, hey, you guys' review of the old Ninja Turtles was terrible and here's why. Shoot us some stuff. We'd love to hear from you either on Twitter or on our email, letters@grawlixpodcast.com. All right. Really looking forward to the rest of the Superior Book Club reviews. So you guys that haven't checked those out, check them out. All right, I'm going to stop talking.